Remember what to talk about.
Says we're live
We are.
on YouTube and it's happening now. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the next Minute with the Ministers. Dave, John, and I, we are here sitting down talking about discipleship, talking about what it means to follow Jesus and what that looks like in our own lives, hopefully as an encouragement to you. We love you all as a church. We're starting a new sermon series this Sunday, which very excited about, on Revelation. But ultimately, Revelation is a book of symbols, and John in this book, he asks us really to take the symbols of the world and say, hey, those aren't the symbols that are going to run my life. So things like power, sex, wealth, all the things that seduce us away from Christ. But we have this command to behold the Lamb of God. We need a new symbol in our life that kind of leads us to what Jesus calls the blessed life. There's 7 Beatitudes in the book of Revelation. And Jesus says, if you want to have a blessed life, this is what it looks like. And it means to really obey the Lamb, to behold him. So very excited about that. We're going to start that this week. Going to be 6 weeks long. So it's going to go 1 week till after Easter because we got pushed back a week due to all this wonderful snow. And guys, how you doing today? Just crazy the amount of snow, right?
Yeah, doing good to get to the office. So I was really enjoyed that. But yeah, the snow was amazing. Lots of fun. We did. You think it'd be some rest, but it was just lots of work for me. Where we built caves, we built snowmen, we built sled runs. I mean, it was just outside the whole time, but it was fun, and it was really neat to see how much we got.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Dave? You've had quite a bit happen to you over the last week, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been fun for me. I will agree with what has been said. The snow is amazing. Like we have not. This again, my news source Facebook said we have not had that much snow since 1918 during the last pandemic. In Little Rock, so which is kind of creepy, but yeah, like that was a lot of snow, and here's the crazy thing, like the last 2 days in driving, there's still some snow on the ground, but the roads are like clear, dry, no problem. Mm-hmm. But people are still driving as if the roads are totally iced down because the snow's there. So I'm like, it's okay. You can hit a little bit more of the gas, there. But yeah. It's been a fun week for us. Yes, I had whatever, not nearly as bad as other people, but we definitely had water pouring into our house that is not desirable during a snowpocalypse.
Yes. And you had a plumber out and they said they couldn't find what it was, right?
Yeah. This is the crazy thing about how plumbing and water works. So the water was dripping in between my first floor and second floor. So I turned the water off to the house and it's still dripping. So I turned the water back on after about a day and a half, because I was like, it's got to be a roof leak or something else. And so we just weren't using the second floor water at all. We were using everything on the first floor. And again, it's been fairly, just walking around buckets, and the buckets are constantly dripping, but you're like, oh, there's nothing else we can do. It's not like I can stop it. I'm not going to put a tarp on the top of my house or anything. Call the plumber, and of course, plumbers are going crazy with all of the water leaks and this kind of stuff. And he's like, I'll be there. And he showed up Sunday morning actually. And we cut the holes into the ceiling where it was dripping, and he sticks his camera up there and it's bone dry. But you can't even really tell that there was water. And I had, 5 buckets that were half full of water. So it's like, yes, I had water coming, I promise. But we turned all the water on to the upstairs, and we cannot recreate the problem at this point. So not quite sure what to do. So yeah,
you have to get them to camp out at your house during a storm.
Yeah, it's like, hey, just move in, and I'll tell you what, we'll just make you a little pallet right here under the holes, and we'll just yeah. So now we're still trying to figure out what. So we've determined that it is not a busted water pipe. So
that's good.
So now our theory is it is a roof leak, or it is a drain that was froze up. So we're figuring it out.
Man, well, you're right. People have, especially in parts of Texas, and a lot of Benton under a boil order right now until, is it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely crazy. So I'm glad you all are safe. I think John wins the contest for the world's largest snowman or tallest snowman. How many feet was it, John?
I mean, at least got to 10 again, but not going to go any higher. But anyway, it didn't really make the full snowman though. It was more just like
it's like a snow pillar, right? Yeah.
Pillar. That's the
Yeah.
word, because it never really took any personality functions. Never had a smile or eyes or
Yeah.
anything. So I don't win that. And I sure, like, this is me ratting out my boys. I sure don't win the best family snowman made, because those boys didn't help out with squat on that one.
See, I was going to push back and say, well, of course, John, he's got a whole army of snowman builders, you know. I'm like, boys, go build a snowman.
I asked them twice, and they wouldn't come over there. Easton built one small one, and Everett built one. And when I'm like, well, let's build one together, they're just like, we're playing. We do what we want to do.
Yeah. You finish building it, and I'll tackle him. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Toppies had a very beautiful one, and that had actually like structure and form of a snowman.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they've got, the Toppies have some advanced snowman building skills. That's for sure. So,
it's in the wheelhouse.
Yeah,
for sure. They've done this before. Well, we are going to talk today a little bit about this sermon from Sunday. I don't know if I'd call it a sermon, but devotional thought. I hope it was encouraging. I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get to preach, start Revelation. And I could have done that. I just didn't want to. I wanted more time than what I would have wanted to take on a Sunday morning on video. But I do think it was a moment for us to pause and be encouraged about disruptions that come in our life. And even Paul, he's talking, we are in Colossians 2:6, and there they've got this disruption of false teachers. But really, and Paul, he says, no matter what happens, you've received Christ Jesus as Lord. So walk in him, live in him. And even when you're disrupted by false teachers, and I think that can be broadened to all areas of disruption, not just false teaching, but really when anything happens in life, we're supposed to walk in him, whether it's a physical disruption, you walk in him, job loss, you walk in him, good things happen. Like you get married, you walk in him, you graduate from school, you walk in him. And so he's saying like our life should have bent towards Jesus Christ, I think, in the way. So can you all tell me like, times that you've been disrupted? And I'll share mine first, because you've not really had time to think about these questions. But as I was thinking about the disruption in my life, I was at a restaurant with a friend recently, and we were talking about Christ, and a guy over in the booth started talking to us about his problems and his concerns. And I think he thought that we were connected. And my personality as such is I find that kind of annoying. Like, oh, they're disrupting my thing. And then it kind of hit me of like, how many times Jesus was disrupted like that, and he just had compassion on the people. And so it was like one of those moments of, man, I'm just like, at the end of the day, some days I hit it, and then some days I'm like, nope, I'm just not like Jesus. And it's kind of those disruptions of what I want to do. So that's kind of a serious take on disruption. Yours may not be that serious, but like, where do you get the sense, like what disrupts you in your life? Like for you all, like someone comes to me and talks, that disrupts me. What disrupts you?
Someone knocks on your door and
I'll say like a real fast one that happens pretty consistently, that just rips my mind. It rips my attitude real fast. It is really kind of like technology. Like I have this expectation of how it's supposed to go and what's supposed to run and what's moving on. And there's times where that technology is either smarter than I am, or I have put a setting on that I don't realize it's on, or something that's going on. And I just, for me, it's like it's dumber than what I want it to be. It's supposed to be this easy. It's supposed to happen like this. Yeah. And I let myself just get escalated real fast with that. And I mean, it does. It just ruins a day. It conquers time. It does stuff where I'm just like, this was supposed to be this simple, and it didn't happen, or it's not working. I just can't figure it out. So that's why like Christy is our like home tech person, because I just get so upset with it first. And so I have to allow myself to kind of sit back and slow down, try not to be disrupted with it so much, that it's some beautiful stuff that allows us to connect, allows us to make more, allows us to whatever. And I'll sometimes just let it ruin my day, or especially ruin my attitude. And I got to step back from that.
It's a good answer. I like that. What about you, Dave? What disruptions happened for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, even this week, when we knew we were going to have some snow, but after a couple of days, it's like, okay, we can be done with it now. I mean, with having a leaking roof and whatever kind of electricity conservation we were trying to do, uh, I had a flat tire in my truck, so it's like as a man with four-wheel drive, it's like, man, this is nothing. I'll go wherever I need to, and I couldn't, like, I was stuck, and that truck, and again, that's probably a longer story, but literally I was trying to put the spare on the truck and could not get the wheel off of it. Like, it was fused to it somehow, like it just would not come off. So, like, and then Brandy's got a Honda, which is amazing, but in the snow and the ice, not going to happen. So literally both of our vehicles, hers was actually stuck in the ice, mine was a flat tire, we got water dripping, and then it's like you're trying to go out and have fun and play in the snow, but you're still thinking, man, there's just so much going on. So I think for me, it's always kind of a matter of perspective and priorities, like I'm going to go out and play with my kids. I don't care if I can't go anywhere and can't, whatever. We had food, we had water, we're fine. It's not like, there wasn't, I don't think anything was ever dangerous for us.
Lots of water,
but yeah, we have too much water. Right. But I just think I'm right in the middle of a thesis writing stage for my doctorate. Like I've got a deadline coming up, like right now, and I've got to get, so any kind of spare time I have, I've got to write. Well, then, like, I'll have my day planned out, and it's like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do this, and after dinner, then I'm going to go and hide somewhere and try to carve out a couple 3 or 4 hours and write some, and then Tallulah will come up and say, hey, you want to work this puzzle with me, Daddy? And I'm like, yes, like if a kid's going to ask me to, hey, work a puzzle, play a game, the answer is going to be yes. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, I can't. I got to go and be disciplined and work on this thesis stuff. It's like, no, I'll do that after you go to sleep. Let's work this puzzle. Let's play this game. And so, but it's always kind of again, it requires discernment. You've got to keep things in perspective. I mean, we're out playing in the snow, having a good time. There are people in Texas that have had no water, no electricity for a week. There's people that haven't had heat in their home for a week. They're burning candles over terracotta pots to stay warm. And I'm going, it's not that bad here. It's like, I can survive a week. I can survive however long. Let's enjoy some family. Let's enjoy some time together, where it's kind of a forced disruption to, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything except be in your home, maybe play outside, and we need times like that, I think.
And I definitely think that there's times where absolutely those disruptions are allowing yourself to kind of reset, rethink, hey, pause, slow down. And then there's times where it's like, man, I need to be actively either looking for a disruption. I need to be thinking about some way where I am not just like comparing my life here to someone else's there, but like, can I get out and do something for some others and allow that disruption to even feed my thankfulness? As Paul's kind of going on with his thing in Colossians about being rooted in Christ and overflowing with thankfulness, that like, there's something there that's like, yeah, where do I go to find someone to help out? I remember Donald Miller had a chapter in his book that, this book took me forever to get into. And then finally there's this chapter about a family, and the girl is just making some poor decisions. And she's got a lot for her. The family's provided a whole lot for her. And it just comes down to this point where she hasn't been able to say yes to something good, like benefiting others, that she has now just said yes to everything she can consume. And it just wasn't healthy for her. And so they had to figure out a way for her to go serve, or for her a way to look at others and do stuff. And I say that with like a little bit on this disruption, but I ran to Kroger one day, and as I'm running to Kroger, there's a senior tequila that's out, on the same parking lot. And there's a guy out there who's in his khakis, he's in his loafers, he's in a long sleeve shirt, and he's just using a shovel to get some snow out so the water could drain out of his parking lot, because his parking lot is just flooded because all the hill is just feeding it there. And at this moment, like, man, I'm in boots and I got waterproof gear on and everything. And yeah, I'm going to go dig this out for him. And so I had to like convince him to give me the shovel because he just, no. And I'm like, no, come on. I got all this stuff. I can do it faster. Yeah, I could just move faster because I'm not worried about getting my loafers dirty.
Listen, I built a 10-foot snowman, man. Give me
Yeah.
the shovel.
Like, do it. But just, in that sense of knowing like, this is just going to be way more helpful if I just knock it out for you than you sitting here trying to, one, not get wet, which is bound to happen. And then even in that same thing, I get back in shop, get back in, and we'll find a car stuck. And I'm like, what do I need to do now? I need to get out of my car and go push this person and try to help them out. So me and 3 others went and pushed them out. And there's parts of that where you're just like, man, it's those disruptions in your life allowing you to reset and think again, not just, man, I'm glad it wasn't me stuck. I am, but I'm in a spot where God has blessed me to be able to be to see these healthy disruptions to help others.
Well, how do we do that? How do we build the rhythm in our life? Because, when we look at the life of Christ, he disrupted people and all the time, in some ways, in beautiful ways, like people who had been physically handicapped or physically disabled for years. Jesus disrupts their life to something better. And then there's times where he disrupted the religious leaders, kind of their view of following God. And so Jesus was all about disruption. And John, I love your illustrations there of what it means to be look out for those disruptions. So how do we do that? How do we see God working in our life to where we don't let, like me, get really annoyed when people want to talk at the restaurant? That's a moment he's probably hurting and really needs to be heard and probably lonely. And I can give some grace for 20 minutes and that's not the end of the world. How do you all do that? Because I don't think I'm very good at it yet.
Well, or if you're more like me, it's like all I want is disruptions, like my door's open, let's go, come on, let's just hang out. We don't actually need to get your head down and get any work done. Let's just have a good time. But, I think it definitely starts with prayer. Like picture this, you during your quiet time, during your time of prayer, you say something like, God, give me an opportunity to serve somebody today. God, disrupt me today in a way that I can love my neighbor. And then when you're faced with that situation, it could be hopefully your brain will go, oh man, this is God answering my prayer right now. Secondly, kind of a practical thing you can do with it is you can actually kind of put blocks of time in your planner where you're either I'm just going to try to do nothing. I'm just going to relax and just kind of chill and breathe. Or B, this is a time I'm going to schedule some time where I'm going to try to go and be around people and just kind of almost like you're kind of prayer walking. You're kind of like, hey, I just want to be open to what God's doing in my community, in the situation right now. It's not a disruption because you're thinking I'm blocking this time to where I'm planning for it, so I think you can pray for it. I think you can plan for it. And I don't have anything else that starts with P, but maybe we can come up with something.
Be patient.
Perception of it. Anyway.
Perception. I like that.
Yes. Y'all are both preachers. You got lots of P words you can throw out there.
So I do think there's also this part of being able to help out that actually scares people from a sense of how much can I rescue? How much can I help out? How far does my abilities or finances or time actually stretch for me to help somebody out? Right? Because the thing sometimes happens where I'm not going to do it because one, I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of money. And so you kind of stay away from it. But I would say in kind of my 2 stories, there's a part where it's like, I'm not here to remove all the snow from him, all the snow from their parking lot and all the stuff. I just understand what his little goal is. And that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to hand him the shovel back and walk away. Or I'm going to push the lady out and hopefully she's going to get home, but I'm not going to follow her home to make sure she gets there. And there's times where we feel very reluctant to help out because it's like, well, it doesn't get them to the perspective where I feel very comfortable about their situation. And I think that's hard to sit with sometimes is that we'd go to Guatemala and build a house there for someone. And then our families really wanted to provide cooking utensils and this and that and this and that. And they really wanted to leave this family in a situation where we felt comfortable in their poverty. and it wasn't really set up for us to be that. Like, we needed to sit and be with them without trying to provide everything for us to feel comfortable, but for us to feel uncomfortable in their poverty, or for us not to think like we can rescue, we can totally change the situation around. But here's something that I'm listening to. Here's the problem, and here's how I can help out. Here's how I can stretch a little bit, and sit in this story without 100% thinking I have to redeem it. I have to make sure everything comes out to the most positive place where, no, I got to step in and be a small part of it. And hopefully somebody else can step in and be a small part of it and take them to the next level.
That's good. I like all that.
That's real good. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, John, there's a starfish on the beach.
Yes.
And
yes. Yes.
Love it. Throw it in.
It made a difference. And for me, that one, yeah, that's good. I think I could also recommend maybe some of what I need to do is I need to gather people around myself who, it's some of that is easier caught than taught, I think.
Yeah.
And so to be with people who kind of have that feeling in their life of like, oh, that's what it looks like in practice, and the joy that they have from it. I think that's contagious.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. People that for us, it's like there's always a pause and we think about it, we rationalize it. For others, it's like, well, yeah, of course we're going to do it. Like, give me the shovel. I'm going to go shovel the snow.
You give me that shovel.
Yeah, we need to hang out.
My shovel.
Right. We just need to hang out with John more often. I guess.
John stole that shovel from the guy.
That was a great story for two, but man, I had a whole week where there's no other stories in there. Okay. So. It doesn't happen all the time.
It's over.
Yeah.
Well, that's helpful. And Little Rock Church, hopefully you will find ways that God is disrupting your life, or maybe you can be a positive disruption in someone else's life. And part of that means it's just holding fast to Christ. Keep thinking about him, the way he talked to people, thought about people. Anything else before we go, guys?
No.
People?
All right. Thanks. I mean, I would just say, I guess, to the church, really kind of a thank you for bearing with us on Sunday. We made a call that we definitely think was beneficial for us not traveling here. And just, again, for us to cancel service is just heartbreaking for all of us. But we thank you for bearing with us on that.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, I'm going to find out how to stop live stream. There it is. We'll see y'all next week.